What up, YouTube? Listen, um, I'm trying to get this together. This may be better. Yikes. Hold up. What's up, y'all? I'm just over here rigging up my little YouTube video. Come on, y'all. Act right. You know what? We just gonna keep it like this, okay? All right. What's up, good people? Um, It's definitely been a few days since I did a live. Just to update you guys, what I've been doing, y'all. So this past weekend, I coached my first sevens tournament. Shout out to your girl. I got the sunburn lips to prove it. Y'all see that? You see it. You see it. You see it. Yo, sevens is so different from just like any football. It's faster. Everybody's super athletic. Like, I love it. I'm in love with it. So I am like legit. Uh, I'm just gonna say this. So I got asked to coach. I had like a day and a half maybe to come up with plays. Come up with plays. Come up with a whole offense really. And I coached the 15U boys. It's super athletic. You know what I'm saying? I never coached with, I never practiced with them or nothing like that. Like, we legit just went out there. Um, we didn't, we, put it this way, like, we didn't win a lot of games at all. But when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I see what this can be. So the old me would have been pissed, like, bruh, because I used to be super competitive. I mean, it was disgusting. It was, I can't even describe it. Like, you know, I'm a completely different person now. So nobody, unless you knew me back in the gap when I was like playing and stuff and I was really in the midst of it, you'd be like, ain't no way still. Yes, your girl was trying to knock you off for real. So and on that note, we're gonna talk about the truth about competition. And honestly, I am an expert on the subject because I don't know anybody who was as competitive as me in my environment. Like, y'all, it was ugly. I mean, I hated everybody I played against. If you, even if you was on my team and like we was going against each other in practice or whatever, yo, it was so many, y'all, the stories are wild. So many instances of me just like calling out teammates. Like, I remember my junior year in high school, and we had a really strong like senior group my junior year because it was only like maybe two, it was only like two of us juniors on the team. Two very talented juniors. I mean, we ended up carrying the team all the way to state the following year. But the seniors had to always, you know how it is in sports, like hazing or whatever you want to call it, but they always had to um exercise their seniority, I'll put it that way. And they knew how I was wired, so they would do and say things like to get under my skin. I also had a Phil Jackson type of coach who knew how I was wired too. So she would like put me in situations to really just bring that out of me, bring the dog out, as they say. Um, well, this dog was a pit bull that would bite anybody. And so I remember one day in practice, we were running like we were scrimmaging, right? And so it got to a point where I stopped the scrimmage and called out every senior. Like, y'all, like I was, what? The coach let me do it. She honestly was the greatest coach I've ever had in my life in sports. But anyway, she let me do it. And like, yo, the ones that humored me, if you will, the ones that entertained me, I let them have it. Like, I mean, I let them have it. Every time I scored, I talked crap. Um, it's like the more I talked, the more fuel that was at fire. Okay. I mean, if you watched it and you were in the stands, or if you were on my team, you loved it. You know what I'm saying? That means I'm finna go off. It's over. You know what I'm saying? If we were playing 21 in the street, you're gonna have to fight me. I was the type of athlete that if I did not lose, I was either gonna win this game or win the fight. Take your pick. Win the game or win the fight. Take your pick. That's the kind of athlete I was. Uh yeah, it was crazy. So, I mean, I just got so many stories, y'all. I've put teammates out of practice because they weren't going hard enough. Just all kinds of nuttiness. But like our society, sports in general, just as athletes, you know what I'm saying? We always say you gotta have that dog. And I have a completely different take on dog. I spell it DAWG. I'm gonna do a YouTube on that too. But you know, the Mamba mentality. I mean, we praised Kobe Bryant. Still to this day, he's idolized. Um, you know what I'm saying? And although he has since died, which is just still odd to me to utter those words out, to say I didn't, I mean, to just utter those words out. But I mean, we idolized Michael Jordan. We have gone so far as to saying cats like LeBron, and I'm not a LeBron James fan. Just a newsflash, I'm not a fan of anybody. Um, but he's not my favorite basketball player. He's not even in my top 10. I didn't say he wasn't top 10 best, but he not in my top 10. But we have gone so far as to say cats like LeBron because he doesn't have a what do you call it? You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't know, kill switch, whatever. Like Kobe or like Jordan, you know what I'm saying? Then he wasn't, kind of that dude. Um, well, he gets it done differently than those guys. It is what it is. I'm not here to debate basketball. I don't even watch basketball, just to be honest with you. But anyway, so we idolize the super competitive, tear your face off, uh, risking life and limb to win this game of sport. It's sport for a reason. So we just love it. Like, you know what I'm saying? We love competition, even as coaches, compete. Um, even my coaches, when they realized that I had this like killer instinct, this killer mentality, they would do everything they can to tap into that. Phil Jackson, he played a lot of mind games, especially with Kobe. And he really just kind of just woke that monster up, if you will, woke that dog up, you know what I'm saying, inside of him. And that won him a lot of championships, a lot of games. But at what cost? Okay. At what cost? At what cost? So we look up, if I can get to So, we look up the definition of competition and competitiveness, all that good stuff. Hold on. So you look at competition, and the definition of competition is the activity or condition of competing, an event or contest in which people compete, the person or people with whom one is competing, especially in a commercial or sporting arena, the opposition, the ops. Okay, so what about competitive? Relating to a characterized by competition. Okay, why would you put that as a definition? Um, Having or displaying a strong desire to be more successful than others, as good or as good as or better than others of a comparable nature. Um, so you get it. So the gist of competition and competitiveness, is really the whole spirit behind it is being in contest against somebody else. Like basically comparing your efforts and somebody else's efforts and saying I'm gonna beat your efforts. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the spirit of competition and competitiveness. So, there is nothing wrong with competing in the sports arena. You have to compete. Okay. Your team versus my team. I get it. I've played a lot of sports competitions in my years on this good earth. Okay. Um, I was they they were not healthy. I did not have a healthy understanding of competition. I did not have a healthy relationship with competition, if you will. I had a relationship of competition that others would glorify. They loved it, because that's what they told us we had to be. Like we got to be dogs. We got to tear their heads off. Yada yada yada. I got that. The problem with that is this: it is really steeped in a spirit of comparison, of just rage and anger, and if you go even deeper, of bitterness and just rejection. Two very dangerous things, but it fuels you. It just fuels you. So I'll take me for an example. Um, I was rejected very early in life. I was rejected at times by people that loved me, that I loved, that I respected. I was not like my teammates, at the time I didn't drink, um, I didn't smoke, I didn't engage in sexual activities like they did. I didn't really go out and party. That wasn't really my thing. So I'd already, you can check the rejection box, check, you know what I'm saying? Um, what I mean, I was solely focused on being the best athlete I could be. Okay. I was focused. And if these things weren't going to make me the best, then I didn't need to be involved in them. Got it? Okay. So when you are rejected, you got to win at something. Winning becomes an idol for you. All right. And I'm speaking from experience. So I'm rejected on this end, rejected on that end. Where can I find acceptance at this point? Well, when I win, they love me. When I win, it makes me feel good. You know what I'm saying? So at all costs, I need to win and I need to be the best. The problem with this is that you comparing yourself to others, right? Like I get it, like sports is super competitive. Um, but there is a healthy balance to that. Like I remember Russell Wilson. He had bunch of success very early on in his career. Still super successful. Shout out to him. He's in Denver now. That's still crazy to even think that Seattle would let him go. But anyway, I remember him. I remember the very controversial play call in the Super Bowl that where he should have just given the ball to Marshawn Lynch, right? Like everybody knew it. He have no football to know to give it to this guy, right? But what does he do? He throws a slant to his receiver, which is jumped by Malcolm Butler and intercepted. Game over. They lose the Super Bowl in just dramatic fashion, right? So instead of doing what most athletes would do, taking kind of the KG route, crying and cursing, and just it's the end of the world. Don't talk to me. I'm depressed. He says like he puts it all in perspective. So he says as he's walking off the field, he said he heard God say that he was going to use this moment. Um, I'm assuming for his glory, you know. So he is able to be at such peace in that moment where the rest of us were like, "Are you kidding me?" Where and he's like, God said, as he was walking off the field in this moment, where honestly, as an athlete and as an athlete that had the mindset that I have, I would be cursing and crying too. But he wasn't. He had a great perspective, and he does have a very good perspective on competition. You know what I'm saying? He one of the top quarterbacks in the league, very competitive every year, even though Seattle wasn't putting a lot around him. You know what I'm saying? And he still maintained a very high level of play, never got down on himself or teammates, this or that. You know what I'm saying? So it's extremely possible and healthy to be one of the top in your field because that's what you aiming to be. If you are saying I want to be super competitive, you want to be the best, right? It is very very possible to be the best, and have a healthy relationship with competition. Okay, what does an unhealthy relationship with competition look like? Well, um I can just keep using myself as an example. It looks like when you don't get what you want out of, when you don't get the end goal, let's say you don't win a game, um, when you don't get ranked where you think you should be, you 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 start getting down on yourself, you start getting down on your teammates, and then you really go into this just dog it like day and night train, night day train. Um, it's unhealthy. You start sacrificing relationships, and I did that a lot. You start sacrificing, um, quality time with loved ones. You start sacrificing sleep. You just get extremely unhealthy, and all in the name of I need to be the best. I need to win this. But let's just put everything in perspective, guys. Like, what is sports? Let me just help you out. What is sports? What is it? It is a vehicle. It is a vehicle. Sports is not an end all be all because one day you won't be able to play sports. You won't be playing sports. You just won't. Either you may not make your pro league or you're going to retire from a pro league one day, or college or high school may be just where you peak at. End of the day, one day you won't be an athlete. You won't be physically competing as an athlete at the level you are right now. One day you will not be running up and down a court or a field. One day you won't. Maybe one day you won't be able to, or maybe one day you just want to rest. Your body needs rest. And I'm learning that the body needs rest. Well, when you have a very unhealthy belief and uh, just you deceived about what sports is, when you don't put sports in its right place, then you fall prey to just that very unhealthy competitive nature. Like, you hate people. You don't even know these people. Like, I hated everybody I played against, y'all. Like, now there's like camaraderie in opponents, and we talking about this generation because they boys off the field, or they girls off the field, or off the court, or whatever. But just to be honest, like, sports is a really good vehicle to meet people that maybe they are a part of what God has for you. Maybe they are destiny helpers. You know what I'm saying? But when you have unhealthy relationship with competition, you hate these people. You trying to end them. Like, yo, like, I was gonna fight you. And most times I did fight. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to just put sports in its rightful place. Sports is a vehicle. Sports is a vehicle to get where you trying to go. So just think about this, okay? You go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get your 4.0, yada yada yada, to go and get a job to make money. Okay. Well, for some of you who are listening, sports is that vehicle to do just that. Go make your money, right? Invest it, grow it, whatever have you, but sports is a vehicle. Okay. Now think about you losing a game. Does it mean that you're going to die? No. Does it mean that your entire future is now jacked up? No, no game. You can lose a Super Bowl and still get in the Hall of Fame. That's Dan Marino, who has 0 Super Bowls. Okay. So you losing this 7-on-7 game, or you losing this high school state championship game, or what have you, is not the end of the world. Say it with me. It is not the end of the world. It's just not. You still have people in your life who love you, who want to see you, who want to talk to you. Maybe you got little siblings or older siblings that love you, and because you lost, you just ain't trying to hear nothing from nobody. Maybe you give an attitude to grandma and grandpa, who one day not gonna be there, and you wish you would have talked to them. You know what I'm saying? I just remember there were times in like my life where my life was ruled, and this is another product of unhealthy competition and being unhealthily competitive, where you are ruled by wins and losses. When your team wins, you good, you happy with the world. When your team loses, you mad with the world, they cheated, you hate everybody, you go to your room depressed, listening to I don't know, crazy songs, thinking the world is against you. That is unhealthy. That is unhealthy, and that is how you know that you have have been hit with a unhealthy spirit of competition, and also where sport has become an idol in your life. Okay. Now, I'm a Christian woman. I love God. I fear God, and I love him. His first commandment, I think, one of his first commandments, his principal commandment. I'm not sure what order, but I think this was the first one he gave him. Thou shalt have no other God but me. God do not play about idols, people. Okay. Maybe you don't care, but God cares. All right. So You don't want to get in. It's very dangerous to make anything your idol. Since we're talking about sports, it's very dangerous to make sports your idol. And when you have a very unhealthy spirit of competition, then you have made a sport this ball that can't, this pigskin, this leather ball, this whatever, your idol. It can't do anything for you. Who gave you the talent to play this game? God. Who gave you the ability to play this game? God. I mean, come on, people. You know what I'm saying? And I call it a spirit of competition because that's exactly what it is. It's an unhealthy spirit that's steeped in rejection, really, bitterness, anger, rage. You know what I'm saying? Like it is, and I'm just gonna say this: it's okay to play super hard. It's very okay. Matter of fact, you should be giving 200% every time, whether it be reps in practice, reps, just getting reps in by yourself, preseason games, exhibition games, whatever the case may be. You should be giving 200% anyway, right? You should be giving 200% anyway. You feel me? Now, what, how should it look then? I've told you, don't, all this Mamba mentality crap is just a bunch of unhealthy BS. I told you all that. So, how should it look? The only person, and you've heard this before, the only person you should ever be in competition with is staring at you in the mirror. You. You should be in competition with the last version of yourself. I look at it this way. I break it down by like reps at practice. So if we doing this drill 3 times, I should be better the second time than I was the first time. I should be better the third time than I was the first or second time. You should get a little bit better with every rep, every practice, every game, every day, every drill. You know what I'm saying? When you think like that, when you compete with yourself like that, then you start realizing that by default you beat other people. You know what I'm saying? Like by default. And you gotta just look, and sports is a head of competition, you know what I'm saying, especially football. Um, you have to look at the other person as just an obstacle to move out of the way to do what you need to do, whether it be that play or that game. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no sense in out here trying to embarrass somebody or hurt somebody or whatever. Like, why? If you giving 200%, if you getting better and competing with yourself and getting reps, getting better each rep, each play, each quarter, you get better and better. Like, you really just got to change your perspective. That person in front of you, they may win a play or two, but trust me, you gonna win this game. You know what I'm saying? Football has so many moving parts. So maybe your QB throws an interception if you're a wide receiver, maybe somebody misses the block, whatever, whatever. But you can only control what you can control. You, my friend, have gotten better with each snap because you train that way. When you train to get better with every rep, you know what I'm saying? Your last rep being your best rep for the day, and then your last rep for that day being the worst rep all week because you got another practice the next day. You know what I'm saying? You get me? So every rep you should be better. Like you should be thinking like, what did I do wrong last time that I can improve upon this time? You should be competing with you, not them, but you. When you get that in your mind that you are here to compete with the last version of you, whether that last version was last rep, last practice, last play, last game, you you should compete with you. So when you think about that, like let's say you had a decent game, let's say you at the wide receiver position, you had 96 yards last game and 1 touchdown. All right. First game of the season, you came out swinging. That's a pretty good game. That's a decent game, right? You got another game next week. So yes, you're gonna do team sessions, film sessions. What you're gonna be looking at the secondary because you're a wide receiver, and that's who's gonna be covering you. You're gonna be looking at their defense, their alignments. You're gonna walk through film and walk through the game session, all that good stuff, the game plan. But because you are under the belief that you only compete with you and you need to get better than you were last game, you gonna go sit down in some extra film. And you know what you're gonna watch? You're gonna watch you. You're gonna watch you, see what you did right, keep it, see what you can improve on, see what you did wrong, and then all that week you start, whether it's mental reps or working after practice or working on these things during practice, working on these things during indies or team period. You know what I'm saying? You gonna know the game plan for the people that's in front of you as obstacles, but you also gonna have your own game plan to get better. And if you execute that game plan, you ain't got to worry about the ops. You're gonna start seeing that when you get better with each game, each play, each rep, each series, then come the fourth quarter, they're not gonna be able to do nothing with you because you're getting better with each passing quarter. Usually people get more tired, they start making more mistakes later in the game. But if you get this in your head that you are your competition and you should study yourself more than you study anybody else, you won't have you will not have time to obsess over somebody else because that's really what happens. That's what happens. You get in competition with other people, you get super competitive, you got to be better than them. And then you start obsessing like over them. So I heard this story about Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. So of course, for those of you who don't know who Magic Johnson is, he's one of the greatest Lakers of all time. Um, Before there was a Kobe Bryant or Shaquille O'Neal, there was a Magic Johnson. Anyway, he played in the 80s and 90s. He's a Hall of Fame point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers, won 5 championships, all that good stuff. So he competed against Larry Bird. Larry Bird was one of the greatest shooters of all time, one of the greatest players of all time. Played for the Boston Celtics. So one of the greatest rivalries in sports history is Celtics Lakers. And where did that come from? Largely in part from Bird versus Magic. Magic versus Bird. Okay. So Larry Bird, I was watching a special and he was like, he used to get the sports paper and read it like every day, like during the season. He would look down the sports paper because if you ever look at the newspaper, I know a lot of y'all probably have never looked in the newspaper. In the sports section, it gives you the stats. So you can look at how many points a player scored, how many assists, all this good stuff. So Bird said he would get the paper like every time they had a game and look up the Lakers box score. All right. He looked at the score. Then he looked down at Magic Johnson's points and his assists and all that good stuff, his stats. And he would use that as his measuring stick for how much, like if Magic put up 30, he needed to put up 35, 40, that sort of thing. He said he would obsessively do this after every game. Can you imagine being so obsessed with one human? So much so that every time you had a game, and the NBA has 82 games, this man knew, this man should have known Magic's stats better than Magic. Like, that is crazy to me. Like, guys, there is so much more to do in life than obsess over another human. Matter of fact, when you are in a spirit of competition and being super competitive like that, um, then you really just shooting yourself in the foot because you giving this person who you claim to be an opponent, you giving them power. You as they say, you let them live rent free in your head. Why? 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 No. Now, I really did not understand just how I didn't really understand this until I really started meeting people in life who didn't have the world's view of like a dog mentality, or didn't obsess over other people, or said, hey, just in competition with myself. But these people are like the top in their field, the top of what they do, multi millionaires. I mean, super successful. And not only that, they weren't just successful in like whether it was in their sport or their arena, they were successful as humans. They had successful personal relationships. You know what I'm saying? They had sound minds, they had peace. Those things you cannot, nothing is worth any of that. Like nothing is worth your peace, nothing is worth like loving relationships, like sacrificing all that to win some games. Come on, y'all. Like people, y'all, we glorified Kobe Bryant, and some of y'all still do, and most people still do. But he didn't even, he had to really repair those relationships that he spent years tearing down because of that unhealthy spirit of competition. Like you look at his most notorious opponent, if you will, was his greatest teammate, Shaq. Like Shaq and Kobe are the greatest duo of all time. And unfortunately, they weren't the best of friends because of of Kobe's need and his just obsession with winning, his obsession with being the best. His competitiveness is spilled over into his personal life. You know, there are reports of him and his family and him and his parents and how they didn't have really the relationship they should have had, you know? So you really don't want to sacrifice the really important things for the sake of winning a bunch of games and championships. Because I'm just gonna tell you guys, like I don't play. I'm now, you know, done with my days of playing ball or whatever. Won a couple of championships. Yeah, I mean, those rings are somewhere like in a drawer. But the people along the way, you know what I'm saying? The relationships, those are the important things, right? And unfortunately, because of the way I was, I did not get to enjoy them along the way. I did not get to really nurture those relationships because of this unhealthy spirit of competition. It will rob you. Being that competitive dog, this dog, that, yada, 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 it will rob you as a human, as a person. It will rob you in your personal life. You know what I'm saying? I remember one day I came home from a game. I played, my first year was down in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I would stay with my aunt and uncle in Baton Rouge sometimes when I was traveling. And I was just, you know, beating my chest after the game and just letting them know and telling them what happened. And then somebody said something to me, and so I said something back, and you know how it is during the game, you just jawing, and then I made a big play on them, and I had to let them know, you know, this and that. And so my uncle was like, well, how does that work if, you know, you need to minister to this person, or if you know, I was like, I don't care nothing about that. They should keep their mouth shut. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't out here to minister to you. I'm out here to beat you. That sort of thing. Um I look back on, and I'm on those words now, and I'm like, man, I really didn't get it. I did not get sports was not in its rightful place in my life. I didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? And just now as a Christian woman now, I understand that the most important thing is ministering to people, right? The most important thing is that. And so when I say sports is a vehicle, it is a vehicle not only um to make money, to build a brand, you know what I'm saying? It's also, it's more importantly a vehicle of ministry. Like, you just never know why God has you in that sport. And God cares more about, more than anything. It's funny when people pray to win games. Like, that's so sad. People pray to win games. When God's vision for your life is so much bigger than just winning some sports game. If you really put sports in perspective, you would not have a problem with just this unhealthy spirit of competition and being, being competitive with the next person. What if that person is your assignment? What if God has you on this football field, on this basketball court, on this tennis court, um, or on this track, or what have you, to help save somebody's life? You got to think about things. You got to think big picture, people. Big picture, right? Um, you just never know. You don't know who you inspiring. You know, there have been people that have come back to me after years and told me just how much I touched their life when I played. You know what I'm saying? Just how much I like inspired them, and some of the things they watched me do back then in sport, and some of the lessons they learned from me, they actually were able to use it in their lives now as adults. And I'm like, yo, I never stopped to think about that. Like, how am I affecting people? And even for the great competitor he was, Kobe said that at the end of his career, it didn't, that the one thing he wished is he knew then, is that for all of this ambition and all of this needing to be the best and wanting to win, the most important thing is the impact he had on people. And that really is the most important thing, you know so if you are in just this ungodly, is what it is, spirit of competition, depending on how deep it is, you know what I'm saying, you need to get deliverance. You need to get deliverance anyway if you're in that, it's just unhealthy competition. And and you need to just recalibrate your mind to see the bigger picture. Like, being super competitive and looking at the person on the other side of you as the enemy is so small minded. And if you play in sports, then you must be an intelligent person, because sports is can get super complicated, especially football. It is chess, not checkers, like I tell people. um you just need to think big picture. Like, in this moment, when I step on this field to play the game that I love, and I'm really good at it, and I have a platform, like, who can I impact? Whether it be somebody I'm playing against, you know what I'm saying? Or whether it be some kid or parent or whatever in the stand that's watching me. Like, it's a platform. Sports is a platform to, as athletes, man, we can make impacts that others cannot. It just is what it is, the nature of being an athlete. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there it is, right? Um, so just to recap, you know what I'm saying? I've said a lot. You're gonna have to go back and replay this. But just to recap, I'll just basically I'll just leave you with just challenging you to one, compete with yourself, two, to not look at opponents as somebody that you're really in competition with, but just to look at them as obstacles in your way to being a better version of you, a better athlete, a better human, whatever that case may be. But we're talking about sports, so look at them as obstacles to you becoming better than you were last game. Like, they got to get out of the way. You know what I'm saying? Move them still. I ain't saying be weak about it or anything, but motive matters. like how you feel about the game, what you think about the game, what you believe this moment means, it matters. You know what I'm saying? It matters. It's the difference between you being depressed after a loss and you being you understanding that this in over here is sports and I lost this game, my team lost this game, may have even been a Super Bowl. But also I have a family who loves me. I have friends who love me. I got a life to live. Maybe I got some businesses, that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? But when you are bogged down with this unhealthy belief, when you are in um unhealthy belief about competition and being just unhealthily competitive, when you in that prison, you cannot, it blinds you to all the important stuff. Okay. So that's what I got about competition. One, you are your only competition. It only matters that you get better than you were last rep, better than you were last practice, better than you were last game. You know what I'm saying? That you get better than you were yesterday. That, my friend, is real competition. The person staring back at you in the mirror, that's your competition. That's the only one you can control. That's, that's the only one you can make better and get better. Um, and your opponents that you got to face from week to week or game to game are only obstacles in the way of you getting better than the person in the mirror. That's what you should. That's how I want you to think about competition from here on out. And yo, you gonna win some, you gonna lose some. It is what is the nature of the game, right? It is what it is. But if you what matters is that you are healthy when you win and healthy when you lose. And when you lose, it's not the end of the world. And when you win, you still got to go back to work and become better than you were when you won the game. It is what it is. Okay. So that's how I want you guys to think about being competitive and competition. I want you to get out of this unhealthy belief about competition, this Mamba mentality, uh, all this and all that. You know what I'm saying? You can still have that dog, DAWG, which stands for doing anything to win the game. You can still have that dog without this Mamba mentality crap. You really can. You absolutely can. So that's all your girl got to say. I think I was on this subject longer than any other subject. So probably because I'm definitely an expert and I've definitely fought too many people over sports competitions and for the sake of competition. Like, come on, man. Um, but I'm healthy now, I'm happy now, and I am more successful than I've ever been. And I ain't have to beat up nobody to do it. All right, that's all I got. If this helped you, I hope it helped you. I hope you hit me up and say, yo, Steph, I'm reformed. Ooh. But I hope it helped. If it helped you, please like, um, share it with somebody who really needs to hear this. Y'all know that teammate that y'all think will probably shoot up the entire gym if they lose. You know that teammate that stumps out of practice every time they lose a team scrimmage or fights during practice or they always got to be broken up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Share it with that teammate, okay? Share it with the competitor. And also subscribe. Okay, I got a lot of training videos. If you're a wide receiver, even if you're a DB, some of the catching videos will definitely help you. Gone are the days where they say DBs are just wide receivers who can't catch. Okay, y'all need to be out there ball hawking. All right, one hand and stuff. You feel me? So yo, subscribe. I really hope this helped you. I will be back here again, as my music teacher used to say, tomorrow. Okay. So yo, holla at your girl. Godspeed. I love you to life. And I'm out.